Jennifer Lawrence, her face is sort of appearing everywhere suddenly. She's on this month's cover of Teen Vogue, and there's a great article on her in Teen Vogue with an interview and a lot of photos. She is also in this month, so this week's, I don't know if it's monthly or weekly since it's a men's magazine, but she's in the latest GQ magazine. There's a great spread, some pretty smoking hot photos for all of you male Hunger Games fans out there, and also a really good interview as well. And
that was what I was interested in. I just cared about the interview, really. I just sort of...
of course.
Sort of.
And she also made People Magazine's 2011 Most Beautiful list. Yay! But she just seems to be getting a ton of exposure, which is great.
Right. Yeah, if that shoot was anything, exposure, literally, it seems.
Oh, my God. But the more people that see her in these magazines, the more people will learn about the Hunger Games, which is definitely a good thing.
No, absolutely. And I think it's just kind of like a snowball that keeps rolling and rolling. The more people hear about it, it's in Teen Vogue. People say, what is this Hunger Games? The next thing you know, they're looking it up, and they're going to sites like The Hob and Down with the Capitol and Hunger Games Trilogy, Hunger Games Net, all of your sites.
Hunger Games Examiner.
So I think it's good for everybody if this explodes, I think. But it's obviously a wonderful series. I'd like to think so. I hope we're not having these podcasts for nothing. So it seems like the world is pretty on board, and that's in a global and international sense. So, Sara, thank you for joining. We're so happy to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Great. The next story, which actually comes courtesy of you, or, I don't know who broke it first, but I saw it on your Twitter, is about Elizabeth Banks. And we actually did a story on Picktainment with the Hob where we basically said the choices for Effie were Kristen Chenoweth, and Kristen Chenoweth. And we had 3 different poses. But apparently Elizabeth Banks could be getting into the mix. And, I was pretty gung-ho about Chenoweth, but I think Elizabeth Banks could be pretty good.
Yeah, I'm really excited. This is like the first casting news that I've actually gotten somewhat really excited about, just because she's a big name already, and she's already really established. She's done comedy, she's done drama. She's already worked with Gary Ross, who's directing The Hunger Games. She was in Seabiscuit in 2003. And I have not done much of my own fantasy casting for The Hunger Games, so I don't kind of have any preconceived ideas for the most part for anyone except for Haymitch, who I'm still pining for Robert Downey Jr. But but no, I think Banks will be awesome if it's true and if she gets the part. I think it's going to be really she'd bring some kind of big star power to it, I think, which would be really great to kind of get some maybe older movie goers interested in the movie, which would be really exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great if you had a team? I'm on the Downey Jr. bandwagon too, believe me.
Yeah, me too.
That would be.
Me too.
And I think there's one person that doesn't. I think Megan was a little bit anti-Downey Jr. Is that right?
Yeah. That's not who I saw, but hey, whatever. We'll see, won't we?
No, well, it's good to have a diversity. Who do you want to be Haymitch?
You know what? I don't have anyone in particular, but Robert Downey Jr. was just not, I don't know, who I envisioned, but.
No, look, it's very justified. I didn't envision Jennifer Lawrence either, I've got to be honest, but the more I keep envisioning it, now I do envision it.
I like him as an actor, so if he would, get cast, I would be totally happy with it, but he just wasn't my first initial pick. So. Sure.
Well, look, and whether he even wants to take it is obviously, up in question. So, Savanna, you want to go on with the next story? I know there's some crazy stuff going on, right?
Yeah, there's some crazy stuff happening. So in keeping with what seems to be Lionsgate's tradition of of announcing casting decisions on Mondays. We found out this morning who would be playing Rue and Thresh. I sort of screamed when I started to see the tweets appear. I was really excited. And they've actually gone with two newcomers. Rue is going to be played by, I don't know if it's Amanda or Amandla. I don't want to butcher this name.
It's Amanla.
Amanla.
Yeah, it says on her official site how to pronounce it in the sidebar. So
great. Okay, so everyone, it's Amanla. I love that name. Spunberg, I think, is her last name. But she's going to be Rue. She's going to be in a film that's coming out later this year called Colombiana, and she's also currently filming a TV movie called Taste of Romance. And she's been in a lot of commercials, actually. She has a commercial reel on YouTube if you want to go check it out. I think some of the sites have linked to it. I know Down with the Capital did.
Yep, but you pointed it out.
Yeah, of course. I immediately went to YouTube and started searching for her. But she's super adorable. She's on Twitter and on Facebook, and she runs her own Facebook page. So if you want to go like that, you should. She's too cute. And then Thresh is going to be played by Deo Okini. I'm not sure how to pronounce that last name. He's actually Nigerian, and he's also sort of a newcomer to acting. He's been in a short film called Eyes to See, and he has an upcoming film called Slough, Hampshire, which is, I believe, a horror film, but definitely looks like my vision of Thresh. So personally, I'm pretty excited about that. And it looks like fan responses have been very positive.
Yeah. What do you guys think? Let's start. We'll start with Theresa. What do you think about all this, since you're so up on these names?
Well, I went looking for them because Arianna and I were talking like, how do we pronounce these? But I think going on looks alone. They both look perfect. It kind of reminds me. It's hard to kind of see Deo as the Thresh, but as the brutal, where they fear him. But he reminds me kind of like a big brother to Amanla. So
totally.
So there's just this between the two of them, and I just as soon as I saw Amanla's picture, I was like, oh my gosh, she's perfect, and I better bring a huge box of Kleenex because I will not survive because she's just too adorable to have that happen. So
I totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I took one look at that girl's face on the Facebook page, and I said, oh, that's definitely a great candidate for Rue. So I think is anybody here deeply upset by this decision? Do you feel robbed or that you've been harmed in some way?
Any big Willow Smith fans?
No.
I think it's good that they casted and relatively unknown for these parts. I think if they'd cast someone like Willow Smith, it just would have taken away from the parts and from the movie because everyone would have just been like, oh, it's Willow Smith. Whereas in this case, she's Rue. We haven't seen anything, but I think there's a really good opportunity here for her to really own the part and make it her own. So I'm excited.
Oh, yeah, me too.
What I'm gathering here is you're basically saying for the adult characters, we want to have bigger names who bring in an adult audience, and maybe for the younger characters, people who we can truly embrace, where they become this figure and there's no extra baggage, right? Is that basically what you're implying? Yeah.
So and maybe that's kind of two-sided of me to say that, but I think for the younger characters in particular, it's really nice to see some fresh faces take on these roles, especially since the movie is so much about the kids. They're kind of the focus of the story. So I think it would be nice to have these, adult kind of established actors in the supporting roles, and then have these kids kind of really own the movie.